here is the distinguished Togbe Afede, and I'll tell you a story about our relationship, this program's relationship with Togbe Afede. It dates back to 2002. And in 2002 or 2003, I think it's 2002, towards the end of 2002, at that time, Togbe Afede was yet to ascend the throne of Adom-Otchere, and in private life, he was known as Mr. James Akpo, a brilliant investment banker. Data Bank, at that time, led by Ken Oforiatta and Kelly Gajekpo, had organized at the Golden Tulip a debate on inflation, because Togbe had been concerned that the Bank of Ghana was miscalculating the inflation rate and always exaggerating it. And he felt that inflation should be calculated month on month instead of year on year. Investment bankers will understand what I'm saying. So we took a personal interest in the inflation debate. We attended at Golden Tulip. There was a heated exchanges at the event between Togbe Afede and the current governor of the central bank, which is Mr. Addison. I was going to say Philip Addison. What's his first name? I forget. But he's Mr. Addison, the governor of the central bank. Yeah. Okay. So they had that confrontation at the Golden Tulip, and then we on Good Evening Ghana hosted Togbe Afede to sort of get his side of the story. Listening to him, he spoke with a lot of passion at the event about this inflation thing. So we hosted him on Good Evening Ghana. Next day, we got a call from J.H. Mensah, who was at that time the senior minister. Mr. Mensah was told by people that last night there was a guy on Good Evening Ghana who spoke so brilliantly about the inflation thing that you need to consider. J.H. Mensah then requested for the tape. In those days, and I was going to bring it to the studio, I just forgot. I still have that tape. It's a VHS tape. Today I found it in the library. I was just going to bring it. I forgot. Remind me, Thursday I'll bring it. And you see I've labeled it Inflation Debate, Togbe Afede, Good Evening Ghana. I think it's October 2002. So I handed over the tape to J.H. Mensah. At that time, he was senior minister. Then I mentioned to Togbe that J.H. Mensah had collected the tape. J.H. Mensah was so impressed with Togbe Afede that he sort of shared the information with senior members of government. The decision ended in a decision to appoint Togbe Afede to the board of the Bank of Ghana so that he will be able to relate to these matters. And Togbe and I spoke about it. It was in Togbe's hand that I first saw the green paper. You know, the government appointment, they write it on a green paper. I'd never seen one before. I didn't know how governments write their letters. It was in Togbe Afede's hand that I first saw a letter on the green paper. I believe it was signed by Ambassador Dike Osei, who was the secretary to the president, informing Togbe Afede that His Excellency the President is delighted to appoint you onto the board of the central bank. Yeah, so that's our history with this program with Togbe Afede, great man. Later on, Togbe went on to do great things. Asogli plant in terms of IPPs. Of course, Accra Hearts of Folk people would like me to mention that Accra Hearts of Folk and Africa World Online. So when we talk about Togbe Afede, we are talking about an important Ghanaian that we respect. We are not talking about those, what's his name, Baka something. Those are not serious people. Togbe Afede is a serious guy. So yes, when we talk about him, we talk about serious things. Now, he issued a letter this week that has brought back to the conversation, what do we want as Ghanaians? Now, this letter came out, and some people wanted to celebrate it politically. People who don't like Akufo-Addo and the MPP wanted to celebrate it as if it's some corruption incident within the government, and opposition is they are not too sure how to position Togbe Afede's letter, whether they should celebrate it, because if you do, then you find out there are NDC people who have taken the ex-gratia in Parliament, because the ex-gratia is not just Council of State. Members of Parliament do take it. And it is in the 1992 Constitution. I'm going to show that to you today. So when we talk about looking at the Constitution one way or the other, it is important. However, we have been to the Council of State and we have found out more information about Togbe Afede's role at the Council of State over the last 4 years, and we will share with you. That's why in our flyer we talk about whether there are more substantial perquisites to return to the state if Togbe Afede says that he's returning the money. However, let's look at his letter and be fair to the story. This is Togbe Afede here, and this is the letter that he issued. It reads as follows. There have been various publications and comments recently on my refund of 365,392.67 paid into my account, and I wish to provide the following clarification. 1. While working on my tax returns towards the end of last year, I received tax receipts from the Council of State Secretariat that indicated that some money was paid into my bank account in July 2021 as ex-gratia for my 4-year work as a member of the Council of State. Now, this is the first point Togbe Afede makes. He says that he sort of noticed it and it came to him, I believe, as a surprise. If it did, then his advisors and his lawyers did not advise him correctly, because if you go on the Council of State, you will be entitled to ex-gratia. It's always going to come. It is provided for in Article 71 of the Republican Constitution. I'll show it to you. And in Article 89, His Excellency the President or any other senior officer is unable to vary it. So if you enter the Council of State, you will receive ex-gratia. If you enter Parliament, you will receive ex-gratia. It's a matter of fact, guaranteed by the Constitution. So you cannot go to Council of State and say that I was surprised that I got ex-gratia. Ex-gratia was coming because you receive salaries. And ex-gratia is calculated on the salaries, emoluments, and allowances. It is in the Constitution. It's not NDC who did it. It's not MPP who did it. It's not Akufo-Addo who did it. It is in the Republican Constitution that was designed for J.J. Rawlings. That's where it is. So it's not a matter of somebody is honest and somebody is not honest, and people write on Facebook, oh, Togbe Afede congratulated to return the money. That's balderdash. That's not the point. Number 2, I applied for and received a statement from my bankers that confirmed that indeed some money was paid into my account. I eventually confirmed from the Council of State Secretariat that the sum of 365 was paid into my account as ex-gratia. Okay. Number 3, I did not think the payment was made to trap me. I don't quite understand that, but I don't know what he means by payment was, he didn't think the payment was to trap. Trap, I don't get what is trap. You have worked at the Council of State. You are not the first person to work at the Council of State. You will not be the last. Every member of the Council of State since 1992 has received these payments legitimately. We can't do anything about it because it's provided for by law. It's like the salary that civil servants take. It's like the salary that everybody takes. It's provided by law. Nobody can take it away. So if you are paid that salary, and the ex-gratia is considered a part of the salary by the law. So if you are paid ex-gratia, it's not a trap. It cannot be a trap. Anyway, okay. He said, I do not think the payment was made to me as a trap as is being speculated. I believe it was paid to everybody who served on the Council of State. However, I thought that extra payment was inappropriate for a short, effectively part-time work for which I received a monthly salary and was entitled in other privileges. So I felt very uncomfortable. That is very loaded, isn't it? Paragraph 3 of the legendary Paramount Chief statement is particularly loaded. He says that he thought the extra payment was inappropriate for a short. It's 4 years. I'm not so sure whether that is short. 4 years of service to the Council of State cannot be called short, but he says it's short. Okay. And we might perhaps understand why he says it's short when we get into the details of how many meetings the Honorable Afede attended in the Council of State. Tonight we have gathered all that information and the data is here. We're going to share with you how many meetings were held and how many meetings he attended and whether he was paid for every meeting that he did not attend. We'll get all of those details tonight right here. Okay, so he says it was inappropriate because it was short in effectively part-time work for which he already receives monthly salary and was entitled to other privileges. So the point he's making is that sort of he was being overpaid. That's really what he was saying. That I have been paid monthly salary and he calls it other privilege. We'll get into what those other privileges are because those other privileges are substantial, bigger than what he's returning. And that's a matter of fact. It's public record. We're not going to go into all the details about the figures because he's an important person, but we're going to tell you the principle of what he received. Not just him. Every Council of State member did. And that's what he calls other privileges. They are substantial. Okay. And he talks about receiving salary. So the point we're making is that if he was occupying a moral high ground. Now, I served on the NCA board, and when we started serving on the board, our allowances was 400 cedis, something like that. Later on, they put it up to 1,000 cedis, something like that. I remember there was one member of the board who didn't want to receive his sitting allowances. When I asked him why, I said, it's not important. He didn't announce to anybody that he doesn't receive sitting allowances. He didn't tell anybody. If you don't want to receive it, you don't want to receive it. It's fine. It's principle. You can decide. But it's not corruption because it is provided for by the law. If it is corruption, then the law is corrupt. And we have been making that point about the superstructure, the Constitution. Yesterday, we saw what happened in England. I'll come back to that tomorrow. I'll come back to that soon. It is not corruption, and that's why the political parties who want to take advantage of Togbe Afede's letter are not so sure what to do. So they are just hiding, and they are not sure how to manage it. And those who are congratulating him have shown a misunderstanding of the superstructure that operates under our democracy. And so if we want to kill the snake, we have to cut off the head of the snake. We don't pinch the snake and say that Togbe Afede, you have done well. We need to understand why these things happen, go back to the superstructure and see whether we have to delete Article 71. Because if you delete it, then that's it. Then nothing is going to happen. After weeks of trying, this is Togbe Afede speaking, after weeks of trying, I obtained advice on how to refund inappropriate payments to the state. Why is he telling us that it's after weeks of trying? Do we need that information? The Honorable Paramount Chief, you have received money. You didn't want it. You called the Council of State even 10 times. And then if you are telling us, we don't need to know that after weeks of trying, I wanted to take the money to them. I tried and tried and tried. We don't need to know that. Okay. All right. After weeks of trying, I obtained advice on how to refund inappropriate payments. Inappropriate. That is wrong. It is not inappropriate. It is required, guaranteed, and directed by law. It's not inappropriate. Please tell our Paramount Chief, Togbe Afede, the distinguished, it is not inappropriate. It is guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution. The one that we did for Rawlings. It is guaranteed by it. So you can't say it's inappropriate and then paint the picture of other people who have collected it as if there are some bad people, there are some corrupt people. What is inappropriate about that? In fact, the government can say that they don't want it. It is yours. Do whatever you want with it. Yes, if I were the controller, I'll ask the lawyers, what should I do? Send it back to him. Maybe that's why he said after weeks of trying. Because nobody's supposed to take it. It is his. He can decide to give it to the orphanage. We don't want it. The Constitution says he should have it. If we don't want people to have it, we should obliterate Article 71 from the 1992 Constitution. That's what you do. You don't occupy a moral high ground and say, I'm some clean guy. And no. If we want to build the country, we must look at the superstructure and make a determination as Ghanaians. We don't want Article 58. We don't want the president to appoint IGP. We must make that determination and go for it. We cannot fight corruption piecemeal. As I said, here is a snake. You cut off his head. You don't pinch the snake because he will slip under the grass and go away. He'll come back to bite you. That's what it is. That's the headache that we have been dealing with for a long time. The constitutional matter. So it's not inappropriate. It is erroneous. It's wrong for him to say that it's inappropriate. It is not. He said to refund inappropriate payments to the state. And on March 4, 2022, I made the refund into the Controller and Accountant General's Department suspense account at the Bank of Ghana. They shouldn't have taken it. Okay. In my letter to the Secretary, Council of State, I stated that, quote, it was a great honor for me to have served on the Council of State for 4 years, 2017 to 2020. Even though I served as chairman of one of the 3 committees of the council, the Economy and Special Development Initiatives Committee, and participated fully in the council's activities. That's not true. That's not true. Participated fully in the council's activities is not true. We have obtained the data from the Council of State. How many meetings the Honorable Paramount Chief participated in? The record is there. We have obtained it. Other people can get it. We'll show it to you tonight. It is not true. Okay. And participated fully in the council's activity. That's not true. I do not think my work merited the payments to me of a colossal sum of 365 as ex-gratia, in addition to the salary I enjoyed from what was effectively a part-time job. Maybe he's right, that based on the quantum of meetings that he participated in, as against the meetings that the council held, it may well be that he feels that he's not entitled to it. But if that is so, he should state it clearly that for some reason I was unable to participate in about 75% of the meetings at the Council of State during the period 2017-2020. I was unable to. Therefore, I didn't feel that I deserved the ex-gratia as other members who fully participated in. For Togbe to say he fully participated in this, it doesn't seem correct from the record that we have obtained at the Council of State. This does not seem correct. He did not participate fully. Okay, let's move on. I want to add that my rejection of the payment was consistent with my general abhorrence of the payment of huge ex-gratia and other outrageous benefits to people who have, by their own volition, offered to serve our poor country. Now, that's where the problem is. But we won't say much. Togbe is a great guy. We won't say much. We now take you to the details of what we found out, what happened at the Council of State. But he says here that he has an abhorrence to payment of huge ex-gratia, etc., etc. Now, before I go to the details of what happened at the Council of State with him, and what he got and what he didn't get, and how he participated in the meetings, let's explain why this Article 71 came about. You see, generally, one of the demerits of democracy is that it's unable to attract great people, because great people, some of them, in fact, most of them, do not want to go through what we call in political science the rough and tumble of elections. Because they do not want to go through the rough and tumble of elections, they do not get into political office. Because they do not get into political office, we are not able to get the creme de la creme in the policy position, which is more important than the private sector. And therefore, you find in many cultures, the private sector usually retains a lot more qualified hands than the public sector, whereas the public sector controls the private sector and controls everything. In a country like Ghana, with a very minority private sector, the public sector is significant. And so, if we set up a democracy and we are not able to attract people to the public sector, then there will be problems. So this Article 71 was intended to create an attraction for people who are high-skilled to come into the public sector. And the Council of State thing was designed so that you can have people who are high-skilled come in and the president nominates them. So, and same with Parliament. That is why you have had people like Papa Kwesi Ndomi participating in Parliament. In fact, for Togbe Afede to be in the Council of State is great for Ghana, because even in the few meetings he participated in, the kind of opinion he will express is important, is sophisticated, because he's great. He's done a lot. So for you to attract high-caliber persons like Togbe Afede into the public sector was the reason why Article 71 was created. If today we say we don't want it, let us throw it away. That is why you have a Kofi Adom-Otchere who will leave Afri-Exim in Egypt and come to be MD of Ghana Commercial Bank, so that the standard of Ghana Commercial Bank will be like Afri-Exim. That's why. That is because of Article 71. An Article 71 appointee who is exiting one of state organizations is going to be paid a significant amount of money. Now, when people see that, then you can attract people coming to GMPC, coming to BOST, coming to Ghana Commercial Bank, and getting into Parliament. Papa Kwesi Ndomi, with all what he achieved in America, wanted to go into Parliament. It is for such people who are going to grow in the future that we have Article 71, so that they don't feel that, why must I leave my private sector and go to public sector? Because the public sector needs them. The public sector is the engine that drives the country. It's not the private sector. And to curb one of the demerits of democracy, we created Article 71. So if today we sit on Facebook and we think that people are stealing money and we don't like Article 71, let us throw Article 71 away. But let's not say somebody is corrupt. That is wrong. So here's Article 71 now. When I'll come back to the Council of State. It is determination of certain emoluments. And I want to know whether it's entrenched. Can you check for whether it's entrenched? It's an entrenched clause. Check for me. Okay. The salaries and allowances payable and the facilities and privileges available to the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Members of Parliament, Chief Justice, and other justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and his deputies, and the District Assembly Common Fund Administrator. It moves on. The Chairman, Vice Chairman, and other members of the National Council for Higher Education, howsoever described, the Public Services Commission, the National Media Commission, the Lands Commission, and the National Commission for Civic Education, being expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund, shall be determined by the President on the recommendations of a committee of not more than 5 persons appointed by the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. Okay. The salaries and allowances payable and the facilities available to the President, the Vice President, the Chairman, and other members of the Council of State, Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers, being expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund, shall be determined by Parliament on the recommendations of the committee referred to in Clause 1 of this article. For the purpose of this article, and except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, salaries, this is very, very important, salaries includes, it does not exclude, includes allowances, facilities, and privileges, and retiring benefits or awards. So when the Togbe says, I did not know I was going to receive ex-gratia, it just means that he had not apprised himself of Article 71, because the salary that he refers to, when he says, I took a salary, the salary he refers to, it includes retiring benefits. What is he talking about? If you have received a salary, you have received the retiring benefits, it will be given to you. Auditor General, send the money back to him. He should go and give it to an orphanage. He should give it to me. 365,000. Hello. Yeah. Togbe, I'm your boy. Oh, you remember that? I'm your boy. Togbe, I'm your boy. Togbe, I'm your boy. You don't like it, please bring it to me. But you cannot tell us that you took salary and you didn't take ex-gratia. I can't, please, auditor, I'll sue you. Send the money back to Togbe. It is for him. It is his. He can't say he doesn't want it. It's the salary, it's included. Let me read it again. For the purpose of this article, and except as otherwise provided in this constitution, salaries includes allowances, facilities, and privileges, and retiring benefits or awards. It is included. So it's not different. You can't tell us that I received so much and then they brought me another one. It is all part of it. If you don't like it, bring it, we'll share it. Please. Okay. So this is it okay? Can I go on? All right. Now let me go to Article 89. So you see it. 89 here. There shall be a council of state to counsel the president in the performance of his functions. All right. The chairman and members of the council of state shall be entitled to such allowances and privileges as may be determined in accordance with Article 71. So I don't know whether Togbe has not read his constitution or whether his lawyers did not explain the constitution to him, because the constitution says that as a council of state member, your salaries and emoluments shall be determined according to Article 71. Article 71 says that salary includes it. So what's the cry about? What's this going behind and publishing? And people on Facebook, you just no, he's a Christian, oh, God bless him, oh. What is that about? It just means that our young people are not reading, and it's unfortunate. Because our young people should have been writing to respond to him. Togbe, the thing is yours, so if you don't like it, can't give it to me. Because it's in Article 71, you can't do anything about it. If for some reason we think we should strike out Article 71, let's do it. By all means, let's do it. But let's not start, making it look like somebody is corrupt and under Akufo-Addo's regime and they like corruption and all that. As for NDC, I'm waiting to see how they respond to this. And if they respond, we will see. They should come and respond to Togbe Afede. They will never be able to. They will never be able, because this thing is in the law. They've been taking, NDC has taken it for 92, MBP has taken it. So they should be telling Togbe Afede that, Togbe, calm down. This thing is some way. The thing is in the law. They should calm him down. We are yet to go to the Council of State to get the data on Togbe's own participation over there. I'm going to show that to you as well. Okay. So that's back to the Council of State. So the distinguished Togbe Afede joined the Council of State in his capacity as the president of the National House of Chiefs. So when you are president of the National House of Chiefs, you have an automatic membership to the Council of State. And that's how Togbe Afede joined the Council of State. Okay, great. All right. Council of State, this Council of State that Togbe Afede has just exited, they did some great things. They were able to create an Act of Parliament to govern the work of the Council of State. And that Act of Parliament is Act 1037, I believe, which has now been created. So the Council of State sat down to work together to do that. That's a feather in their cap. Let's move on and see the details. The Council of State considered 642 boards in 48 months of 2017 to 2021. This is the work they did. This is just aspects of the work they did, not significant. This is just one part. So what they do, the Council of State, and we can make a decision whether we like the Council of State or we don't like it. That's a decision for Ghanaians to make. Some of us think that Council of State should be second chamber. That's a decision for Ghanaians to make. Some people think Council of State should be scrapped. It's a decision for Ghanaians to make. Some people think that you should have a reduced Council of State. It's a decision for Ghanaians to make. I will say make it a second chamber of parliament. It's up to Ghanaians to decide. But we can deal with the facts right now without hypocrisy. To understand how much work you need to do to consider 642 boards of governing boards, because the law says in consultation with the Council of State. So they need to consider and write to the president. And I can tell you that there have been some people in the past who have been nominated to the Supreme Court that the Council of State has dropped them. In consultation with the Council of State, they've told the president that you can't have this person. So we didn't have it. Council of State don't talk about the work they do. They don't publish it. They sit nights upon nights resolving issues between parliamentarians. All the fights that you see in parliament, sometimes it gets resolved by the Council of State. The fights that you see in the system, sometimes it gets the fights on board, it gets resolved at the Council of State. They don't come and say we are doing this. They don't say anything. They just do their work. We can decide we don't want them. Fair enough. Okay. To consider 642 boards, if each board is 10 persons, They'll be looking at CV of 6,000 people. They'll look at the CV. In fact, when I got nominated, I forgot. When I got nominated on the NCA board, I had lobbied for that job, and I wrote on Facebook today to Suleiman Brahma that I had lobbied to be on the NCA board because I was interested in digital migration. I was there one day when I got a text from Togbe, and he said, congratulations. And I said, hey, why? He said, you are on the NCA board, we have passed you. Togbe Afede, yeah, I'm talking about Togbe Afede. A text is still on my phone. I can't show it to you. He said, congratulations, my brother. You are on the NCA board, we have passed you. I said, yeah. Yes, so that's what council, they were looking at my CV because I was told to submit my CV when I lobbied for it. So they were considering CVs of 6,000 CVs to make sure that the people who are going on the government board are qualified according to the regulations of the various institutions. So Council of State, they do that. So this Council of State, in the tenure of what we found from them today, considered 642 boards in 48 months. Okay, let's move on. Now, in 48 months, this is the bullet. The Council of State held 242 meetings. Of those 242 meetings, the distinguished Togbe Afede attended 39 of them. And that constitutes 16% of the meetings that Togbe attended. Togbe attended 39 out of 242. 16% of the meetings. This is the fact from the Council of State. It's documented. You can check it tomorrow. We have gone for it. This is the fact. This is Togbe Afede we are talking about. He attended only 16% of the meetings of the Council of State in 4 years. However, the Council of State is paid every month, as he said, salaries. He took all his salaries and he's entitled to it. I have no qualms about that. But in giving us the narrations, Honorable Togbe, maybe you should have stated that you were unable, we know that you're a very busy person, that you were unable to attend majority of the meetings, but you took all your money. All the salaries were taken, not just the salaries, including the famous car loan. Togbe Afede, as part of a member of Council of State, got a car loan from government. Today, I've seen people writing on Facebook, $80,000, $70,000. I'm not going to say the dollars. The figures are on my table right here. I'm not going to say that. But if somebody comes and challenges, we'll provide it. So he took money. And he took a waiver from the Ghana port to import a car. The Council of State were giving some money. Government wrote some of the money off. The amount of money government wrote off from the loans that Council of State, from the loans Council of State people got, is more than the 365 he's talking about. It's more. It's more. For a person who attended 16% of the meetings. 16%. And then we occupy the moral high ground and say that I'm Mr. Clean, I don't want the money. Really? 16% of the meetings for the 4 years is what our great chief attended. Because he's busy, we can understand that he's busy. Now, the other thing, if you check the Council of State transportation allowance, we observed in the document, it's right here, that Togbe's allowances were paid as of coming from Ho in the Volta region, which is the state of the Adom-Otchere. That's where his paramountcy is. Some of the members told me when I went to look for it that ordinarily he lives in Accra, but he says he was coming from Ho. That's not really my issue. Wherever he's coming from, you pay him. But I'm saying that the fact of the matter is that out of 242 meetings that were held to do all the work the Council of State did, Togbe Afede, who chairs a committee, an important committee, whose meetings were very, very few meetings of the committee were held because he's chairman and he was often not available. He attended 16% of the meetings and he took every allowance. And the fundamental principle we are stating tonight is that do we want to maintain Article 71 or not? I was having a chat with Suleiman Brahma this evening on Facebook. Those of you who are on Facebook, go on Suleiman Brahma's wall. You see that him and I have exchanged some very friendly, interesting chats. And he was telling me that what he is interested in is, so he was congratulating Togbe Afede. And I said, no, let's watch these things. You see, let's be careful about how we build a democracy. And he was saying that for them, as they call themselves, journalists of conscience, they are interested in holding public people accountable. That's what he said, which is fair. Then I replied to him, I said that to hold public people accountable, you need to change the superstructure. You don't scratch a snake. And I referred him to what happened in Westminster yesterday. Do you know what happened in Westminster yesterday? The British Prime Minister, who has a mandate of 5 years, which has about 3 or 2 years to run, was called up for an election. If he had lost the vote of confidence yesterday, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, one of my favorite prime ministers, would have been out of office. Yesterday, the whole day I was praying for him. I said, God help Bojo, God help Bojo. And I was monitoring. 9 o'clock, I called my other friend, who is also a Bojo fan. I said, Charlie, did we win? He said, we won. I said, oh, great. Then I turned on Sky News, and he was speaking with his basa hair. British Prime Minister, I just love him. But yesterday, he could have gone down because their constitution, the superstructure, makes it compulsory accountability. Accountability is not from every day catching somebody and all that. No, accountability comes out of the superstructure. So if we want an accountable system, let us go to the superstructure. But if you continue to operate this constitution, which was designed for a military junta called J.J. Rawlings, then we are going to have this problem. That's why some of us have been advocating for major constitutional amendments, including the amendment the president proposed. I don't want to appoint everybody. You can vote for some of them. We say we don't like it. But it is the superstructure that's important. That's the conversation I was having with Suleiman. Well, I've invited him. He works for the West Africa Media Foundation. Do a seminar on the role of journalists in a democracy. And let's come and talk about it, because they are concerned about people like me, where they say that I'm stomach journalist and I'm this and that's all that. It's fine. No problem about that. I wrote a few things for him to see that if I were stomach journalist, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have done that. That's okay. There's no problem. One of the examples I gave him was that in January 2009, I stood on this program, the guest in the studio were Adom-Otchere and Toniedu, and I said to Ghanaians that the vote of December 2008 was wrong. I said that on TV. 2009, Professor Mills had been sworn in. I said Ghanaians had voted wrongly in this election. When I met Professor Mills in 2010, 2 other people were in the meeting. He said, Paul, I'm going to show you that the vote was not wrong because I said it. I have been a supporter of Akufo-Addo for a long time, but that's okay when people talk about your stomach journalism. All that is fine. I don't mind. However, the issue is that it is the superstructure we need to deal with. It's not about whether a journalist is talking against the government or talking for the government. There will be journalists who will talk against the government. There will be journalists who will talk for the government. That's going to happen all the time. So that's not the point. And so we waste our journalistic time when we are trying to catch somebody instead of focusing on what is in Article 71. And how is that inuring to the benefits of the country, or how is that dragging the country away from sustainability? Those are the questions that journalists should ask. And those are the questions that we put forward and demand that we need a constitutional amendment. When the constitutional amendment team of Atuguba sat in 2010, I appeared before them. I've showed you the video before. And I told them that you need a presidential question time because this constitution is short on accountability of the leadership. This constitution is short on accountability. Why is it short on accountability? It was created for the military junta. That's why it's short on accountability. And we need more sophisticated minds in media to be able to understand that and move along those paths. What the Togbe Afede problem is not a problem of corruption. It's not a problem of righteousness. It's a problem of Article 71 and 89. And so, Auditor General, as I end the thesis, send the money back to Togbe. Togbe, you get the money. I've not changed my number. I've not changed it. The same number you sent me the text about NCA board. The same number is here. I've not changed my number. I don't know whether you still live at where you live. I've been coming there. I can still come there. 365 for Paul Adom-Otchere and Good Evening Ghana. I will gladly take it. That's the end of the theory. That's the end of Togbe Afede.